Those years in quest of honor mine. Chapter 5. By the time Zhongyuan would return to Prince Jian'an's temporary estate, dawn had broken through the skies. Because he had yet to come back, most of the people inside were still awake. The moment the carriage turned into the street, someone came out to greet it. As the servants of Prince Jian'an's estate realized it was a carriage from Prince Yu's estate approaching, they shared a frightened look. I am fine," Zhongyuan disembarked from the horse-drawn carriage. He felt faint from head to toe. Supported by a servant, he made his way into the estate and whispered, "Go tell His Highness and the two young masters that I am fine." A servant at the side quickly agreed and rushed in to spread the message. Meanwhile, Zhongyuan was starting to black out. He was afraid that once he closed his eyes, he wouldn't be able to wake up for a while. Trying his best to keep conscious, he said, "Before I wake, close the estate doors and do not receive any guests. Tell Uncle Shu to find a way to call the mute for a visit. I have something to ask him." Not quite understanding, the servant whispered, "Who's the mute?" "Uncle Yan will know," he coughed twice. "If he comes, be sure to wake me up." The servant agreed in a helpless manner and a wave of relief washed over Zhongyuan. Then he lost consciousness. There were many things hidden in his heart. Even asleep, he could not fully succumb to slumber, still somewhat aware of the surroundings. His heart was troubled. He fell through dream after dream, his sleep was uneasy to say the least. A moment later, he dreamed that Emperor Chang'an bestowed them a feast, and he was forced to compete with the stubborn Xianjing over who could drink the most. One toast gave birth to another, and another. At that time, Zhongyuan was easy to cajole. He was essentially inflexible and did not know how to hide his emotions. After he had drunk to the point of intoxication, Xianjing still forced him to drink. In the end, thankfully Yushi had a word with Xianjing that he should not lose propriety in front of His Majesty. Afterwards, Xianjing became afraid of embarrassing himself and stopped with much unwillingness. Shortly afterwards, Zhongyuan dreamed about the moment the news of Prince Ning's defection had arrived. A thick mist of anxiety and fear had enveloped the whole household. He himself was framed for passing messages to Prince Ning and was thrown in jail. The spring exams were being held back then. He had obtained the position of Huiwen last fall, and for the past 3 months he was kept in old tutor Shi's residence to prepare for the spring exam season. Every day, he had to write an essay. He spent the Lunar New Year at his tutor's residence, too. He did not leave the residence for 3 months, so how could he have passed messages to Prince Ning? Zhongyuan was clear about this. Those people were only trying to get from him, this adopted son, the evidence of Prince Ning's defection. Although he had been young, he possessed a scholarly honor. Those people did not dare to physically torture him. Instead, they fed him poor meals. They called him in day and night repeatedly for interrogation to intimidate him, and 3 months passed like that. They threatened him, "Young Master Zhong, you've kept quiet all this time. As such, we can only request His Majesty to have the Imperial Clan Court help us with this investigation. When that time comes, we can also interrogate the heir, Xian Rui." They tried to lure him by promise of gain. "If you've been tricked by Prince Ning, just say it. His Majesty has ordered that in light of watching you grow up and taking a liking to you, His Majesty would naturally look at your accomplishments and forgive your mistakes. His Majesty would not make things difficult for your honored self. Young Master Zhong, you're only 1 step away from the palace exam. In 10 days, the palace exam will begin. As long as you admit that you passed messages to Prince Ning, all of this would be forgotten." Zhongyuan resisted for a month. He grew so thin that his appearance changed. After hearing the words of the interrogators, he dropped his head, and with a voice hoarse and unlike that of a human, he said, "Xian Rui is His Highness' full-blooded son. Now that His Highness encountered this great disaster, he will be implicated without a doubt. I can't help him with the suffering that he will naturally experience, but I can bear the punishment that is warranted. He can as well. You can request for the imperial clan court all you want. I also want to know, if they would dare to interrogate a 10-year-old child. The palace exam will be held after 11 days. I know that better than you. You'll send me to take the palace exam? Heh. I have already lost all my titles, yet you can actually send me to the palace exam? You're truly capable. After another month, Zhonwan still did not relent, admitting to nothing. After enduring such hard times, he fell into a dazed state. His interrogators thought they were one step away from getting him to confess. They sent someone to stand outside his cell, chanting, "Yesterday Prince Ning had already confessed. Yesterday Prince Ning had already confessed. Yesterday Prince Ning had already confessed." They just needed to wait until Zhonwan's mental breakdown and he would confess to anything they said. Zhonwan knew he could not get insane. If he slipped up, everyone in Prince Ning's household would definitely lose their lives. Zhonwan was clear on the fact that Prince Ning did not defect. In his heart lay a hint of hope. That Prince Ning was still alive. That he was certainly enduring much suffering right now. If Prince Ning could hold on, so how could he not? At that time, Zhonwan was tormented to the point that he could not even eat a bite of rice. He was afraid he would lose his mind and desperately tried to find something to occupy himself. Zhonwan leaned against the wall, ripping the plain buns given to him into thin shreds. Expressionless, he threw the shreds through the gaps of the cell door onto the face of the person utilizing psychological warfare against him. It spooked the person who was chanting so much, he could not even react. A long time passed before he finally burst into anger and yelled at Zhonwan. But Zhonwan retaliated by hurling his meal and soup at him, and unable to dodge, that person was soaked from head to toe. Those interrogating him did not dare to let him starve. They delivered another meal shortly after. Zhonwan rose to his feet and beat up anyone who came. Half a month later, the Minister of Justice finally came in person to question him. Zhonwan reported to the minister the fraudulent practices of his interrogators, accusing them of exploiting their power for personal gains and manipulating the imperial examinations. The next day, those who had said they would bring him to the palace exam were detained. And they were jailed in a cell right next to Zhonwan. Every day, he threw his meal and soup at those people. Another month rolled along. And Prince Ning passed away in Beijiang. In his cell, red mist sprayed from Zhonwan's lips. The next day, he was stripped of his civilian status and thrown into slavery. Someone of Zhonwan's status had been turned into a slave. Some people were sad about it, some were sorry, while others lamented how there were more people who were watching with excitement. Zhonwan was just a young man in his teen years. He was well known for his handsome appearance. It was common to buy and sell slaves, but when it comes to him, his status was somewhat ambiguous. Zhonwan's scholarly talent was renowned in the capital. To purchase such a person for their estate and step on him was without a doubt something worth being proud of. Some influential and prominent families didn't care about this matter, but there were also many families with special inclinations. Once news of Zhonwan's case had been closed broke out, the crowds of people trying to enter the jail almost broke the front doors. Back then, Zhonwan was only half alive. He faintly heard that someone wanted to purchase him to expand their theatrical troupe. Weak and weary, Zhonwan thought, "All right, I'll sing and play the part of a little widow visiting her dead husband's grave." He also heard that someone from a wealthy Jiangnan family wanted to purchase him. And Zhonwan thought, no way. He didn't want to leave the capital. Moreover, he heard that fourth Prince Xianjing sent people over. But he accidentally let his mother find out, and she detained him and gave him an earful of lecture. In those past few months, Zhonwan tasted the warm sweetness and cold tang of human nature. After hearing that Xianjing wanted to buy him, he couldn't help but crack a smile. Xianjing did not show any special interest in him. Even after being beaten by his mother, he still wanted to purchase him. It wasn't as simple as wanting to humiliate him. It wasn't worth it for Xianjing. It was evident Xianjing didn't dislike him that much. Zhonwan felt faintly grateful. Felt that this drinking mate of his was a true friend. He had Xianjing's servant pass on a message: for the rest of your life, your scholarly talents will never compare to mine. These words made Xianjing almost burst an artery from anger. There was a constant stream of visitors wanting to do business with the prison management then. It put Zhonwan in a state of awe. It turned out that so many people wanted to screw him. He really wasn't sure if he should be happy or sad. Zhonwan waited for his fate without protest. Afraid that he would commit suicide, the prison bailiff watched over him day and night. He sneered. Why would he kill himself? He wasn't a woman. Even if he were, things were already at this point. Would he even still care about things like reputation and integrity? Those 3 children. He still had no clue what had happened to them. Zhonwan did not have the time to think about his own situation. He just wanted to quickly leave this place. After he waited a few more days, someone finally came to pick him up. The person who had purchased him appeared to be from a prominent, influential, and aristocratic family. He possessed great etiquette and was very tight-lipped. Zhonwan couldn't get a word out of him. The carriage rocked for a long time, before finally arriving at the destination. He disembarked from the carriage, and the moment he lifted his head, Zhonwan almost spat out blood once more. They were at Prince Yu's estate. He had calculated countless times, yet never had Zhonwan expected Yushi also wanted to screw him. It's true that one could not judge a person by their appearance, and one could not measure how big the sea was with a bucket. Xianjing would be beaten if he wanted to purchase him. But Yushi was able to defy both Princess Angguo and Prince Yu, bringing Zhonwan over without an issue. Indeed, heroes were born from young men. Within his dreams, Zhonwan smiled. Then he frowned and turned over, feeling someone was pulling his hand. After exerting much effort, Zhonwan opened his eyes. And it took him a while to realize that Lin Si had come. Lin Si's expression was the picture of urgency. He once again felt for Zhonwan's pulse, touching the latter's forehead. Zhonwan forced a smile. I'm fine. I just caught a cold. Do help me to get up. Falling to a half kneel, Lin Si supported Zhonwan to sit up. Zhonwan did not know how long he had been sleeping. His fever had already dissipated. He was able to feel some of his vitality again. He pointed to his desk. Go, grab some paper and a brush. I have something to ask you. After Lin Si brought the items over, Zhonwan took them for himself. It turned out he would be the one writing. Emperor Chang'an had arranged this temporary estate for them. As such, Zhonwan was wary of speaking these words aloud. Wasting no time, he wrote, that year, you were the last one who had seen His Highness. Write down His Highness' last words again. Don't make even one word of mistake. After a slight pause, Lin Si took Zhonwan's brush. He wrote, tell Guiyan that the end is already here and to take care of himself. Don't do anything stupid for my sake. And ask him to take good care of my 3 to 4 blood relatives. Drawing his brows together slightly, Zhonwan wrote, 3 to 4 blood relatives. Lin Si nodded. Zhonwan picked up the brush once more. Her Highness, the princess consort, passed away early. His Highness clearly only had 3 children. Why didn't he say 3 but say 3 to 4? Before Prince Ning's death, there had been many irrelevant people surrounding him. Could it be that there was something he didn't manage to convey yet could not say it clearly, and as such relied on these few sentences to relay a message to Zhonwan? Lin Si frowned. Zhonwan wrote, have you ever suspected this? Lin Si nodded. A few years ago, why did you fall into the hands of Yu Shi? Wrote Zhonwan. Using sign language, Lin Si said, an unfortunate circumstance. As expected, thought Zhongyuan. It wasn't because of His Highness' dying words, signaled Lin Si. The fourth prince had many questions regarding young Prince Yu's birth. He sent me to investigate. Naturally, I also wanted to know. Zhongyuan wrote, what were the results? Lin Si shook his head. He had yet to unearth anything. Leaning against the side of the bed, Zhongyuan fell into his thoughts. With sign language, Lin Si asked, Master suspects that young Prince Yu is His Highness' son. Zhongyuan muttered to himself, I have my suspicions, but it doesn't make any sense. It was too much of a stretch to link the two together just because of Prince Ning's phrase of 3 to 4. Not to mention that Yushi was born the year the previous emperor had left the world. That year, Prince Ning had only just turned 15. A pregnancy spanned 10 months. Which meant that Prince Ning would have only been 14 at the time of conception. Zhongyuan could not help but laugh. How could that be possible? Understanding most of Zhongyuan's thoughts, Lin Si gestured honestly and frankly, it's not completely impossible at 14. An awkward smile spread across Zhongyuan's lips. He didn't want to talk about such things regarding his uncle. After a moment of thought, he wrote, back then, His Highness was the most favored sixth prince, brought up by the previous emperor himself and likely to inherit the throne. The previous emperor would not have allowed him to suddenly have a child before he was wed. Furthermore, if Royal Princess Angguo and Prince Yu were raising a son for Prince Ning, would they expend so much effort? Lin Si nodded and gestured, impossible. His Majesty is even afraid of Xian Rui. How could he leave the older young Prince Yu alone? Zhongyuan let out a sigh. Something wasn't right regarding Prince Ning's blood-related children. So, what was really going on? Had he just casually said 3 to 4 blood relatives, or was there a deeper meaning to it? Maybe that part about 4 refers to you, Master, said Lin Si with sign language. Laughing in spite of himself, Zhongyuan wrote, I'm 1 year older than Yushi. So, did His Highness sleep with someone at 13 then? What are you thinking? Although our Zhong family estate is no more, I was definitely born from my parents. Lowering his head, Lin Si smiled. Who could he be referring to? Lin Si signaled, if Master wants to know, I can continue investigating. I'm not in a hurry to return to the south. No, said Zhongyuan, shaking his head. Just a while ago, he mentioned you to me. If you fall into his hands again, he definitely won't spare you again. As Lin Si stood there helplessly, Zhongyuan thought for a moment before saying, or, after His Majesty's birthday, we can switch places. You will accompany them back to Qianan and I will remain in the capital. Furrowing his brows, Lin Si said with sign language, didn't Master say that after this time, we won't have to do anything here anymore? Zhongyuan fell silent. If the 3 children were safe, he would be worthy of Prince Ning's rearing and grace. Then in his later years, perhaps he could. Not wanting Zhongyuan to fall into a pit of trouble of which he might be unable to climb out, Lin Si quickly gestured, the 2 little masters are only 10 years old. A bitter smile graced Zhongyuan's lips. It was true. Ever since Prince Ning had passed away, his life had not been his own. How could he have the freedom to think about other things? End chapter. Those Years in Quest of Honor Mine. Chapter 6. Lin Si and Zhongyuan had grown up together. Thus, even if he couldn't say he knew everything that went on in the other man's mind, he could always guess at least part of it. He looked up at Zhongyuan and gestured, could it be that Master is worried for young Prince Yu? So, you forcefully connected Yushi's true identity with Prince Ning, trying to convince yourself to stay? Zhongyuan didn't speak. Back when Prince Ning had been framed, Prince Yu had played a big role. Zhongyuan shouldn't be worrying about Yushi. Lin Si pondered a bit and signed, at the time of the event, young Prince Yu was just a little over 10 years of age. He didn't have a part in the scheme. Master doesn't need to feel like he has betrayed the prince. Zhongyuan rubbed the spot between his brows and lowly said, I can still draw the line. Though Lin Si had also been sold onto Prince Yu's estate at the time, he had only stayed outside the second door, feeding horses. He didn't know much about what had happened between Zhongyuan and Yushi inside. He thought about it and directly asked, back then, did Master and young Prince Yu really fell in love? Zhongyuan choked. No, Zhongyuan smiled. Don't tell me you believe those rumors, too. Nothing of that sort happened. Lin Si looked at Zhongyuan, confused. He was completely at a loss. Since they hadn't made promises to each other, so why was he worried about Yushi now? Zhongyuan leaned back against his headboard, head pillowed on his arm. He drawled out, before, though we had been study mates for a few years, in the entirety of those 3 years, we barely spoke to one another. I didn't want to cause trouble for His Highness, so I never communicated with those people. Other than occasionally arguing with 4th Prince Xianjing when I was bored, I didn't make connections with anyone else. 5th Prince Xianqiang had stained hands and a poisonous heart. He always plotted and schemed against me from the shadows. I didn't think highly of him. Yushi and Xianqiang are cousins, so they're on the same side. Naturally, I avoided him, too. 5th Prince Xianqiang's mother was noble consort Yu, she was also Prince Yu's blood-related younger sister. Zhongyuan rubbed his sore neck. Speaking of this, I was confused too when I first heard it. We weren't related at all, not like with Xianjing where we had somewhat of a semblance of a relationship after so much fighting. Why would he put so much effort into buying me? Lin Si thought about it and very bluntly signed, it's either he admired you, or had dirty thoughts. That wasn't it? He really didn't. Zhongyuan shook his head. After throwing me into a side courtyard in his home, he completely ignored me for 3 months. A long time later, probably after getting annoyed by the steward of the side courtyard, he finally moved in. Lin Si was confused. Getting annoyed by the steward. Zhongyuan had a smile that wasn't really a smile on his face. He started coughing again. I lay in the side courtyard for half a month. After I could finally get out of bed, of course I wanted to escape. I hid in the food waste bin, wanting to be transported out. I also tried dressing as a servant to sneak out the side door. Every midnight, I would go look for the best places to flip over the wall. Nobody from the main estate lived in the side courtyard. All the servants in that courtyard were in charge of watching me. The steward was scared that I would escape, so he kept me under surveillance for all day and night and was always half a step behind me. Every night, the steward would bring over a chair and set it by the head of my bed, then he would sit down there just to stare at me. Zhongyuan coughed twice and continued, once I asked the old steward. The young Zhongyuan then was lying in bed quietly, looking harmless and docile. Only the old steward knew that it was a facade. For 3 months, Zhongyuan had made all attempts to run away. The old steward persuaded him, young master, you have already become a slave. More than anyone else, you are most aware of your own situation. You can't even go out of the city. In this life, you can't own any properly. You can't hide anywhere, so why not just stay where you are now? Zhongyuan thought to himself, of course, I know the laws of this dynasty better than you. The steward got so annoyed that he lost his patience and started trying to intimidate him. Young master, our Yushizi still has your self-selling contract. If you run away, all he has to do is tell the yamen and you'll be caught before the day is over. The punishment for being a runaway slave is being sentenced to facial tattooing by the authorities. You know what facial tattooing is, right? Zhongyuan didn't care at all. He coldly said, I'm a man. Who cares if my face is ruined? At least that way, nobody will have thoughts about me. The old steward became agitated. Facial tattooing is permanent. How could you not care about your own face? Young Zhonwan was bewildered. I've never cared about my own face. Steward Feng, I've already ended up in this situation. What face do I have? The old steward was so angry he almost stopped breathing. The two argued for a whole day. By nightfall, the old steward thought that Zhonwan would finally calm down. He was just about to take a nap on the chair when Zhonwan suddenly started talking. Uncle Feng. Zhonwan wasn't sleepy at all. He stared at the top of the bed curtains. Let's have a heart-to-heart chat. Steward Feng. In his heart, Steward Feng cursed Zhonwan for being so troublesome, but he still forced himself to look alert as he stiffly asked, chat about what? Young Zhonwan calmly said, let's talk about your mother. Steward Feng froze for a moment before realizing that his old mother had gotten teased. He immediately became outraged, almost starting a fight with Zhonwan. Calm down, calm down. Why are you so agitated? Young Zhonwan hurriedly begged for mercy. I was wrong, I was wrong, I was wrong. Calm down. You're already at this age, so you should not get yourself so agitated easily. Sit down. Sit down. Steward Feng was so angry his beard flew up. He turned around and sat down, planning to ignore him. He was just about to doze off again when Zhonwan suddenly asked, Uncle Feng, do you have a wife? Steward Feng answered with a pissed-off expression, my wife is still alive, yes. Zhonwan nodded. Does yourself and your madam get along well? Steward Feng was at a loss. It was the middle of the night. Why did he have to tell someone who was barely out of adolescence about the relationship between him and his wife? Steward Feng turned around and glared at Zhonwan. Whether we get along or not, has nothing to do with the young master in any way. Zhonwan answered with frankness. Of course it does. Steward Feng held back his anger. Then may I ask young master Zhong? How is it related to you? It's the middle of the night, quite late. You and me, Zhonwan pointed at himself then at Steward Feng as he continued, are in a room together. I'm worried that you are only guarding me so well because you want to do something bad. After I fall asleep, you might do something unspeakable to me. Steward Feng completely went crazy. He stood up and roared, I'm 54 this year. My grandson is around your age. You and I. Don't be angry. Zhonwan was scared that he would harm himself in his anger, so he hurriedly coaxed, I was only mentioning that as a possibility. Only a possibility. I was scared that you would see my sleeping countenance and be unable to resist yourself, accidentally causing trouble. You have a family and I have to maintain my chastity for your Yushizi. If we get together, not only would that ruin your relationship with your wife but would also cause you to lose your job. I couldn't bear that. Steward Feng refused to listen to him any longer. In his anger, he cussed out a string of colorful language and was so furious that his face turned purple. Calm down. I was wrong, I'm the one who has taken an interest in you because we've spent so much time together. It's not your fault. Zhonwan rushed to apologize, I used a lesser person's thoughts to assume the reasoning behind a gentleman's demeanor. I sincerely express my regret. Zhonwan got out of bed to personally pour Steward Feng a cup of tea. Steward Feng drank it. After a long time, he finally managed to start breathing normally again. Zhonwan lay down. Steward Feng sat down too. An hour later, Steward Feng felt somewhat sleepy. Zhonwan started once more, saying, I thought about it and realized that my words just now were too extreme. My apologies, Steward Feng. You're a good person. Steward Feng. Young Zhonwan stared at the window and drawled out, look. The moon is beautiful tonight. Steward Feng felt goosebumps forming all over his body. Zhonwan spoke to himself, right now, the mood here is quite nice, too. Steward Feng thought that perhaps he was so sleepy that he had gone crazy. How was the mood nice? Zhonwan very seriously said, so how about I sing a song for you? Steward Feng stared at Zhonwan numbly. Zhonwan shyly said, I originally thought that I would get sold to become an actor, so in prison. I prepared ahead of time. Steward Feng's gaze was desolate. He didn't know whether or not he should praise Zhonwan for planning ahead. Then I'll start now. Zhonwan cleared his throat and gently tapped the bedboard rhythmically and started to sing, after getting married, had to wear white. Who died? The master of this house. Shut up. Steward Feng was furious. Singing this to your master, are you looking to die? Is that not acceptable? Zhonwan sighed with regret. But as someone who only started learning recently, I only know how to sing The Young Widow Visits the Grave. Steward Feng was so mad his hands shook. You, stop singing. Zhonwan nodded. All right. Don't get angry. I just wanted to sing a song to coax you to sleep. As long as you stop talking, I'll naturally be able to fall asleep. Zhonwan promised by holding up 3 fingers and swore to the heavens, I'll shut up. Steward Feng cautiously sat down once more. Zhonwan did what he said he would. This time, he really didn't say another word. An hour later, Steward Feng, who had rushed around the whole day and stayed up half the night, fell into a deep slumber. With bright eyes, young Zhonwan's lips curled up slightly. He had never fallen asleep. He sat up gingerly. My apologies to you. Zhonwan didn't dare to put on his shoes. He carefully walked outside with barefoot and escaped the side courtyard that night. Of course, he got caught and brought back before sunrise. Zhonwan was escorted into the central room, but continued acting rowdy. Isn't it just a face tattoo? Do as you wish. Even if there's a tattoo on my face, there will still be plenty of women willing to marry me. Steward Feng had looked for him the whole night, so now he was so fatigued that he felt only a step away from death. He breathed out weakly as he said, You aren't scared, right? Fine, fine, you wait. Just you wait. Zhonwan waited. An hour later, Yushi arrived. Zhonwan kneeled on the ground. As soon as he saw Yushi, he knew things were over. The person who could really screw him over was now here. End chapter. Those Years in Quest of Honor Mine. Chapter 7. Not letting Zhonwan, the guilty party in his opinion, speak before he could, Steward Feng jumped out first. As he jabbed a finger at Zhonwan, his words left his mouth in an incoherent mess. He talked about my mother, and sang, that he would pay respects to my grave. It's been 3 months already. That wall is so long and high. So high. The young Yushi stood there at a loss for words. What was he even saying? Steward Feng realized that he should have invited his young master to enter first. It was just that he had a strong urge to complain about how he had run about the whole day, was exhausted to the bone and exasperated. So much so that he couldn't even speak clearly anymore. He was so anxious that he couldn't even speak coherently and could only say whatever came to his mind. It gave Yushi such a headache. At a loss, Yushi took in the honest steward who had taken care of him since he was young as he grew silent. He turned around and instructed the servants, summon Imperial Physician Wei. I'm not crazy. Steward Feng supported himself with the back of the chair and once again pointed at Zhonwan. It's him. Yushi nodded. I understand, but you have to see the physician first. Steward Feng felt helpless. He could only glare at Zhonwan. Feeling frail, he let the other servants support him away. Now, the only 2 people left in the central room were Zhonwan and Yushi. They shared a look. Not a word left their lips. Then Zhonwan broke the silence. Your father did such a beautiful good deed. He narrowed his eyes just a bit. You purchased me. Are you not afraid that I'll kill you as revenge for His Highness? Yushi stayed quiet, before nodding. I've considered it. You're certainly brave to still bring me here. Zhonwan swept his gaze up and down Yushi's body. He muttered, never had I thought that at such a young age you'd already be so debauched, to the point where you're willing to risk your life in order to experience something more stimulating. It took Yushi a moment before he understood what Zhonwan had meant. His expression stiffened. I didn't want that. And I know you won't kill me. Zhonwan took a deep breath. He was right. He could not take his life. You've guessed it correctly. Zhonwan rose to his feet and rubbed his aching shoulders, which had been squeezed by others. Blame only the ones responsible, the only ones involved. Fuck. Your mother. All of a sudden, a bout of dizziness crashed into Zhonwan again and he collapsed to his knees. He hit the ground so hard that the pain could be defined with one word, excruciating. While Steward Feng had endured hardship for an entire day, he was still able to take a nap in the middle of it. But Zhonwan had actually endured for the whole day and night without break. He didn't even have the chance to eat. And now, he was almost at the point where he couldn't endure any longer. The young Yushi wanted to support Zhonwan, but after recalling the latter's words earlier, he found that touching him was impossible. He could only order his servants to help Zhonwan to his feet, bringing him to the inner chamber. Shortly afterwards, Imperial Physician Wei arrived. He checked the pulses of Zhonwan and Steward Feng, prescribing the former medicinal ointment for external wounds and the latter some calming medicine. Steward Feng would take a longer time to recover. At this moment, he did not have the energy to supervise Zhonwan. As such, Yushi was stuck with looking over the other boy by himself. Within the inner chamber, Zhonwan did not allow other people to attend to him. He rolled up the legs of his pants, revealing the scrapes on his legs, and applied the medicinal ointment to them. Yushi sat at a desk not too far away reading a book, his gaze never straying. After a while, Yushi heard a soothing voice and looked up instinctively. Zhonwan had already tended to the wounds on his knees. Now he stood at the foot of the bed, back facing Yushi as he removed his outer robes. He shrugged off the middle garment, revealing his slender, youthful body. Zhonwan's skin was very fair, and in addition to his bruising wounds, he looked particularly appealing. Zhonwan had already applied the medicine and blowing gently on the side as if he was still talking about something. Yushi subconsciously held his breath. At first, he thought Zhonwan was cursing him. But never had he expected that Zhonwan was actually gasping and whispering, "It doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt, it doesn't hurt, it doesn't hurt." At that moment, the heart of the young Yushi softened. Just as he had caught that sight, Zhonwan turned around as he finished taking care of his injuries. Their gazes met. In an instant, Yushi whipped his head to look out the window. It prompted a bout of speechlessness from Zhonwan. Then he felt nervous. Putting out a bluff, he said, What are you trying to do?" Yushi's heart grew chaotic. He once again lowered his head to read, not a word escaping his lips. Meanwhile, Zhonwan watched him with vigilant eyes. He put his clothes back on, then laid down on the bed. He was exhausted, but he did not dare to fall asleep. Just now, Yushi's gaze had seemed strange, and he was afraid of what the other person would do to him should he surrender to slumber. 2 hours later, Yushi finished a book. He completed the annotations, and as he went to fetch another one, he caught sight of Zhonwan from the corner of his eye and caught him staring at him with bloodshot eyes, trying his best to hold on. Yushi grabbed another book. "Sleep," he softly said. Straightening his neck, Zhonwan said, "I'm not sleepy." Yushi flipped the book open. "I won't do anything," he said, keeping his voice low. "Right." Zhonwan nodded. "You'll just look and not do anything." Yushi sat there, dumbstruck. A while ago, Yushi had in fact glanced at him unconsciously. He wanted to explain this but did not know how to. As he hesitated, his ears flushed red. He rose to his feet and retrieved 2 sticks of calming incense, inserting them into the small incense burner on the table. The strong fragrance spread throughout the room. Since the start, Zhonwan had been striving his best not to fall asleep. But the moment he smelled the calming incense, his eyes widened like saucers. What's inevitable was bound to occur in the end. A wave of helplessness washed over him. There was no way he'd get out of this one. Yushi was usually reticent. So, his thoughts actually laid this deep. He was this knowledgeable of those things and knew to get him unconscious first. Who knew what came to Zhonwan's mind at that moment, but what left his lips was, "You've got a filthy mind." Once again, Yushi was rendered speechless. As Yushi's gaze strayed to the incense burner on the table, realization struck him. He rushed to explain, "I lit the incense because I..." The hand that held the book trembled ever so slightly. Yushi desired to explain himself but found that he would lose face if he said the words he was intending to say, as his ears bloomed all the redder. Still lying down, Zhonwan lost all interest in the conversation, waiting for fate's judgment. "It is I that have underestimated you." The anger once again roared and Yushi suppressed it until his breathing grew rough and jagged, trying his best to control himself. "I don't want to touch you." But Zhonwan didn't believe a word of it. He glanced at Yushi, eyes drooping, and was about to give in to sleep. A trace of hope fluttered in his heart. "Yushi, may I ask you something private?" Yushi's heart pounded. What's something private?" he muttered. Zhonwan asked in a serious tone, "Do you prefer being on the top or bottom in bed?" Once those words had left Zhonwan's lips, Yushi stilled. "What do you mean, top or bottom?" Zhonwan pursed his lips. "Like, if you prefer being on the bottom, you actually didn't need to use this incense. I'll grant all your wishes. You spent such an exorbitant price to have me, so I won't let you waste your money." He coughed. "Although I'm exhausted today and still injured, it's not a big deal. I'm in the prime of my life. I can still handle you." "I don't want it," shouted Yushi, finally understanding the implications of Zhonwan's words. He couldn't help but hurl the book in his hands at the desk. "I don't like any of that." A chuckle spilled from his lips. Zhonwan thought, only a fool would believe you. Since trying to negotiate had proven fruitless, he continued to wait as he lay there. Meanwhile, Yushi picked up a book and continued to read. The two entered a stalemate for 1 hour. With bloodshot eyes, Zhonwan still did not surrender to slumber. At this point, Yushi was so aggravated that he felt suffocated in his chest. It wouldn't do well for Zhonwan to continue fighting to remain conscious. Pressing down on his chest that was about to explode, he stood. And he inserted a few more sticks of calming incense into the burner. The young Yushi was a very honest and frank person. In his opinion, once Zhonwan woke up from a nap and realized that nothing had occurred, Yushi would be proven innocent. Try as he might, the Zhonwan on the bed could not even cry. He was about to die from exhaustion, yet Yushi still had to burn more incense. "What kind of habits do you have?" He was so drained he didn't even know what he was saying. "Once I'm asleep, I'm like a dead dog." "What's the fun in that?" Yushi staggered. Then the fury burning through his body grew all the more rampant and he inserted another stack of incense. At this juncture, the remainder of Zhonwan's anger melted away. Yushi was even more stubborn than him. Cracks were starting to form in his willpower. He was afraid that in a little while, he would lose all consciousness. Zhonwan saw through the red dust. It seemed he could not pass this trial. Bleakly, he said, "Yushi, once I wake up, I would have turned into a true man, right?" At the sound of those words, Yushi's hands shook, the urge to beat the other person up flooding his body like a tidal wave. But still not resigned to his fate, Zhonwan lifted an arm, biting down hard. You. Yushi's voice was thick with aggravation. What are you doing? Zhonwan's voice grew even softer in his fatigue. I'm waiting for you, to act on your ill intentions. I'm just trying to help you sleep. Yet Zhonwan only shook his head. And after I fall asleep, you'd screw me. Then what are you waiting for? Shouted Yushi, so furious he wasn't even paying attention to what was leaving his lips. With how alert you are, if I really wanted to do something, could you really do something against it whether you're awake or not? Could it be that you really want me to do those things, that you won't sleep unless I act on them? Here they were. Zhonwan finally heard the words he had been waiting for. He bounced into a sitting position and shouted, "See? You do want to fuck me? Well." As Zhonwan finished reminiscing about the past, he smiled and handed the medicine bowl in his hand to the strict steward. Cough, don't drink it. Steward Yan kept talking, holding the medicine bowl for a while as he continued, "Last night, did you come back with the Yu estate's carriage?" Zhonwan froze and nodded, "Yes." Yan Pingshan asked, "Did you see young Prince Yu?" "No one in the Yu family will rob someone on the street in the middle of the night." "I did." Zhonwan leaned on his bedside recalling Yushi's statement of "For every time you laugh, I'll make you cry the same number of times." Somehow, he felt goosebumps rose along his spine as he said, "He has changed a lot." End chapter.